Right about this point in time, we as humans can't exactly say that we know everything around us, but for the most part, we know a lot, and we have a lot of information for just about anything. And with the dainty little devices that we carry, we can access this huge dam of information in seconds. But is all information worth the struggle to know? We here think, absolutely not. You don't have to do the searching. We've got that covered in this video. Prepare to get shocked as we present to you the most surprising things you probably don't know. Let's go. It's the absolute worst feeling when your phone battery dies on you while you're in the middle of your regular day. Funny thing is that it seems to happen so often and always at inconvenient times. But did you know there's a dainty little trick that can conserve your battery to last longer? And you don't need a device for it. You just have to keep your phone away from heat. Heat can fasten the chemical processes within the battery and cause precious energy to drain out of it quickly. Your phone most likely gets heated in your pockets. Try carrying your phone in a bag or your belt clip, and that'll do the trick. I don't understand why rats are considered to be disgusting vermin when they're such cute little things. Your opinion on rats might change when I tell you these creatures are ticklish. Yes, a 2016 study was able to pinpoint the exact location of the mammalian brain which produces a stimulus to tickling via lab rats. It was also noticed that rats produce squeaks that are higher than the human audible range, the reason why we can't hear them. But that's not all. Neuroscientist Shinpei Ishiyama observed that rats seem to produce dopamine after experiencing tickling and even display it in ways similar to humans, by jumping. Did you know dunce hats weren't originally considered a symbol of stupidity? Yes, these dunce hats are named after a philosopher called John Duns Scotus, who believed that wearing pointy hats like the one we're showing can funnel knowledge directly into the mind. Many of Scotus's followers started wearing these hats as a symbol of intelligence, and a lot of people believed it. But by the 16th century, popular thought shifted against Scotus, and the rest is history. The Eiffel Tower wasn't so much adored a century ago as it is today. It wasn't even supposed to be in France in the first place. Designer Gustave Eiffel wanted to build the monument in Barcelona, Spain. But city officials weren't so pleased with its design, so Gustave had to pitch the idea to the Tower of Paris, where it was eventually constructed. But it wasn't well liked by the Parisians too, with one critic calling it a metal asparagus. It was only kept standing because of the French army, who found it effective for communications in wartime. Did you know that babies aren't born with kneecaps? Well, it's true. The reason why babies' legs are able to show so much flexibility is that instead of bone, there are pieces of cartilage, the same material that's found in your nose, ears, and joints. Eventually, as time passes, the cartilage experiences ossification. By the age of 12, a human child develops a complete kneecap bone. There's good reason why we aren't born with them. During birth, such flexibility is required to pass through. You might have often found yourself lost when finding where you parked your car. We get it. It's rough. But what if I told you you could just find it by using your head? Before getting angry, know that I'm not kidding. You just have to put the metal key part of your key fob and press the lock button. By doing this, you're essentially using your brain fluids as conductors of signals, which increases the range of signal transmission greatly. How cool is that? There might not be any alcohol in the sky, but there sure as hell is 400 trillion pints of beer worth ethyl alcohol floating around in space. I'm not kidding. A cloud of alcohol was found near constellation Aquila in 1995, 1,000 times larger than our solar system. Before you start contacting Elon to prepare you a space shuttle, know that this cloud is 58 quadrillion miles away from Earth. Even if you were to reach there and inhale all that alcohol, you'd be met with a handful of poisonous compounds like cyanide and carbon monoxide. When it comes to having strange laws, the United States has a good enough reputation. In the city of Galesburg, Illinois, it's illegal to ride fancy. That just means you can't do stunts on bikes. You can't even take off your hands from the handlebars or even pull your feet away from the pedals. Fortunately, the law isn't enforced, and you can find kids not getting arrested for it. We commonly think that protective foil seals on pill bottles are there to keep them airtight. That's only partly true. A complete truth is rather morbid. After a series of deaths occurred in the United States in the 1980s from Tylenol bottles tampered with cyanide, the states moved to pass the Tylenol bill. Over 31 million bottles of Tylenol were called back and repacked with newer FDA guidelines to make bottles tamper-proof. Hence, your protective foil seals. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, but the apple you're probably eating is gonna get you to visit a doctor. Apples typically don't last long, but how do apples survive in supermarkets throughout the year? Well, that's where preservatives and cold storage come in. Apples are put in a colder atmosphere for them to last longer. The average apple at the grocery store is 14 months old, according to one estimate. Not only that, the artificial wax that's coated as a preservative can damage your intestines. This wax is usually applied as an alternative to an apple's natural preservation wax, which gets rubbed off during the cleaning at the farmers. There was a time in history when instead of "say cheese," photographers called out "say prunes." But why? Well, that's because back in the 1800s, the general teeth hygiene wasn't so good, so it was best to keep people's mouths shut when taking pictures. That answers why everyone looked so serious and had taught back in the day. Throwing a smile was just considered childish. Former Ambassador Joseph E. Davies was the one who came up with the idea to say cheese as the perfect formula for an instant smile. Ever wondered why some cups are chipped from below? They might look broken, but they serve an essential purpose. These gaps are called draining gates and keep the cup from slipping around on wet surfaces. It also stops water from accumulating at the base of the cup during washing, preventing you from getting unwanted splashing. Pretty convenient, right? Often you might have seen this red dot while eating dips or some other foodstuffs. Well, no need to get worried over it. It's not some toddler's work of art with a Sharpie. It's just that these dots are markers used by machines in packaging systems to cut the right amount of foil. The closer to the center the dot is, the better the machine has done its job, the less foil is wasted. Pom Pom hats weren't always considered the goofy fashion statement they are today. Back in the old days, Pom Pom hats were worn by tough and bulky sailors working in the ships. They wore them to protect themselves when working below deck, where bumping your head on low ceilings and jutting beams and pipes were common, painful hazards. The pom-pom seemed to have worked as an early warning system or even as a slight cushioning for an incoming concussion. If you've ever looked closely at your fingernails, you might have seen this neat little layer of white sheet that covers the nail. Some people like chewing it, but there's a reason why you shouldn't and why it's important. This layer of mass is called the cuticle, and it serves as a protective covering to keep bacteria and viruses away from the lanula, the white semicircle lining beneath your nail. With a damaged cuticle, the lanula becomes exposed, and when lanula gets damaged because of bacterial activity, nails don't grow fully. Well, that was our list of facts. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a fat thumbs up. As always, take care and goodbye.